Hello everyone, welcome back for another video tutorial. For this video, we'll focus our study on data scraping for multiple sources. The multiple sources can come from the same web page or different pages. For this example, I will show you how to take data from multiple locations from the same web page. Okay, so in order to demonstrate this example, I will use example from this website. Okay, so the first thing we want to need to do is to go ahead and drag and drop inject box here to trigger the flow. Then we also need to have HTTP request. So it's coming from HTTP request is coming from here. So this one is when trigger will make the request to this website. So we can go ahead and put this URL right here. Okay, this URL is coming from this web page, and we can observe the output of this scraping from using this debug box here. Now I'm going to try to let you know that okay, after we trigger this block, this flow here, we got the raw data for this web page. This is similar to when you right click on this and select view page source right here. As you can see, it's HTML format. Now we are going to look at the data that we need to extract. There are many of them. Now the one that I would be interested in is the data in this table and data on this panel. Now let's go one by one. Let's take a look at data from the table first. Now I want to extract this data here. So what I need to do is right click on the web page and then say inspect. So it's going to navigate to the location that very close to table tag here. So we know that the first thing we need to do is to select the tag that have the name table with the class name core market table. Now let's try to see what would be the result. So the next step is we're gonna need to bring in the HTML selector. So drag and drop HTML selector in between here. Okay, and because we say we would like to be able to get the data from the table tag here with this class, so let's go ahead and do this together. So double click and put table tag, and now in order to specify the class name, we put the dot, and the name of the class is core market. Okay, let me double check here. It's core market table. So we put table here. Now let me clear off the output right here and see what would be the result. Now as you can see, we got the detail from the table tag. Now the next step is we're gonna have to observe down into here. We know that we are going to get each row of this data. So it's going to be table, go to the T bodies, go to the TR, and to go to the TD. Now let's go ahead and do this real quick. So we can navigate to T body, TR, and TD. Now with this, then we should be able to see the output as the, okay, so it's going to be the arrays of the data, but the data also contains the information that some of them we might see in the structure that it consists of something else like span, strong, reference. Now if you want to get only the output text in this location here, then you have to go back to your HTML selectors and then go to the option output, then change it to be only the text contents of the element. Okay, now let's try this one more time. Okay, so now I got basics information of the what I need here, so I can reference to the arrays 2, 4, 7, and so on. So that's going to be my data. Okay, we can clean up unwanted character like calculate return later. Okay, now the next step is, okay, this is one part of that I need, the data from here. The next step is I also need the data from this panel. So right click over here, select inspect, and by noticing this, I know that this guy is, all of this information is belong to this panel, which is called div with this class light size. Okay, so how about this? we do the same thing here. We are going to copy this down here, and then we are going to move the output. So because it's going to be done at the different time, okay, so I would like to examine this first. We know that we are looking for this part, so it's going to be div.writeSize. So go ahead and change this to be div.writeSize. Okay, div is the tags and dot is the class, and writeSize is the name of the class. Alright, see what would be the output. Alright, so now this is the output. The output contains the information that we also needed. Okay, but not in the good format anyway. We can clean it up later. Alright, so in this case, you know that we can extract data from multiple locations. Okay, location from here and location from here. Now the problem is that this output come in different times. Okay, for example, this might be finished like in 1 second, and this one will be finished in another seconds. So how do we combine the results of these two output together? So that is interesting questions. So in order to do this, okay, what we need is global variable. So we're gonna need to construct global variable somewhere in between at the beginning. So let's put it right here. Okay, now to make the global variable here, you can use flow.set, okay, the name of variables and also the value of variable. Now I'm going to create 4 different global variable here in my example. So it's going to be flow.set, okay, set my global variable. Now keep in mind that we need to know 4 things. We need to know the status of this. We need to know status of this. We also need to know the output of this one and this one. So as you can see, that account for 4 different variables. So I'm going to name the status as task. So let's put status. So let's put status 1 equal to 0 at the beginning. And we are going to copy this and put 3 more different variables. So we're gonna have status 2. We also have output 1 and output number 2, and output 1 here I'm going to put it as null, 2 as null, mean nothing. So as you can see now, we have ability to set up the global variables. Okay, so we have 4 different variables. Now whenever this is finished, we will set up the data output. So in this case, we're gonna need a function block after this. We also need another function blocks after this is done. And this is what we're gonna do. We know that we can get the output of this. Okay, so we say, okay, var result will be equal to msg.payload. So that payload is coming from the block on the left hand side of this. Okay, so in this case, we would like to set up 2 things. Update status 1 equal to 1, and then update output 1 with result. So now to update status 1, we say, hey Flow, could you please set status 1 equal to 1 at the beginning. Previously this is equal to 0 at the beginning. Okay, now after this is done, we say, hey, the status is now equal to 1. Also for the output, we say, Flow, could you please set another global variable, which is output 1 to be equal to 2. To be equal to the result. Okay, so that's the second step. Now since we are going to use this one just like the previous one here, so it have the same architectures. We just need to change the name of variable here. So instead of status 1, we put 2, output 1, we put 2. Now as I mentioned, that this output, this block and this block will be triggered at different times. But when each of these, okay, are triggers, what we get is the update of global variable status 1, output 1. This is to update status 2 and output 2. Now we're gonna merge these two output together as another function block. So allow me to put it right this, and then I drag and drop in another function. Then I'm going to say we merge these two together. So we drag and drop it in like this. Okay, what happened? Whenever this one finished, it's going to return a message. So this block will be triggered. At the same time, when this one finishes first, this block will be triggered as well. So we want to make sure that we like to check whether or not status 1 is equal to 1 and status 1 is equal to 2 already. Otherwise, we would not allow this to output the data. So now in terms of speaking of this, in terms of the programming algorithm, we say we would like to check the result. So if we would allow this and return the message only if, okay, the following condition is true. So we want to make sure that both status. So in order to get the status now, we say status 1 would be equal to flow.get. And then to get contents from global variable, we specify the name of this global variable, which is status 1. We get both of this. So it's going to be status 2 and 2. Now imagine that we want to make sure that we want to wait until status 1 equal to 1 and status 2 equal to 2. So okay, in this case, imagine that this block trigger first. After this trigger, status 1 will be equal to 1, but status 2 will be just equal to at the beginning, equal to 0 at the beginning. So whenever they come to this block, we want to check status 1, hey, you need to be able to equal to 1, and status 2, I want to make sure that you are also equal to 1, then I'm going to do something further. Otherwise, I just do nothing. So in this case, if this block, okay, update status 1 with 1, then it's going to come down to this block and check for this condition. Now because status 1 is already equal to 1, but status 2 is still equal to 0, so this condition is not true. So nothing happened at the output. Okay, now when this guy is done, then status 2 will be updated equal to 1, and again this block will be triggered. When this one trigger again, now we will have status 1, both of them equal to 1, status 2 equal to 1, and this condition will be true. Now in another case, if this guy got updated first, so status 2 will be equal to 1 and it's going to trigger this block. Okay, and this guy is true, but still the status 1 block is still not set. So in this case, it does nothing until this block gets triggered and status 1 is equal to 1. We know that if both of them are triggered, status 1 and status 2 will be equal to 1, and at this moment this condition will be true. Now after this condition is true, what we are going to do is we want to get the data, right? So we say, hey, data 1 is coming from flow get. We have two output. Output number 1 is coming from the first block, and data number 2 is coming from the output 2 block. So in this case, that is going to be data 2, output 2. All right, and we would like to create another objects. So I would say the objects of report equal to the objects like this. Now the first one is going to be if we look at this data. So we say 24 high, 24 low here. So 24 high. Let's say high, okay, will be equal to data number 1. Now since it's going to be reference from I think 1, 2, 3 at third elements, which is second one, okay. So let's put it like this first, and also we're gonna have the array of the table rows, which is this guy. Okay, so we're gonna have different names of this. It's coming from data number, data number, data number. Okay, so this is data number 2, right? Because this one is coming from this right size, but for this one is data number 1. So this is, I'm going to try again here, that is going to be core equal to nothing, equal to empty set, and then I'm going to push report dot core dot push. Then I'm going to push the data 1 at could not remember. Okay, I think we can think about the first element here, and then after this is done, we say, hey, could you please assign that payload equal to the report, please? And we want to observe the output. Okay, now let's check on this. And here we go, we got the arrays of this, okay, the names, but we're gonna need to fix. I think the second one is might not be the element correctly. Okay, how about this? I'm going to also, let's check at the output of this first. Okay, now I want to see which element we are looking at in terms of the data. So as you can see, we have, okay, the arrays, that arrays give me this 0, and also, okay, as the single text, okay, as the single text. So what I could do is I can think about the separations, but that is going to also, okay, how about if I selected this? Okay, let me try this one more time. Okay, it comes as the objects. Okay, HTML contents of elements. So we have so many things. So I think I might have to dig further into each information. So let's come up right here, view inspect. So we know that this one, each of this is belong to the right size, and we go to each div, I guess. So in this case, so we go to each div. Okay, now let's see the output again. So this time we have the array. Good. Now we also, this time we are going to only select only text contents, and hopefully we can get the arrays of this. And that, here we go, we got the array of this, but the problem is also it has, okay, so it has two things. So let's take a look at this one more time. We really interested in only the portion of the data, so either strong or span. Okay, strong, and then that span is the actual data. So how about if we go further, and then we go to the span. Okay, click on this. It's a empty, because, okay, let me take a look at this, because the span is actually, oops, span, we have class right size, then we have to dig to another div. Inside the div we go to another div. Oh, okay, so that is going to be another div. See if we got something as the output. Okay, here we go. So that's the data that we want. Okay, So that's the data. And now the first element here, I can then reference to this value. So if I look at the third element here, so it's going to be high is the first one. Okay, so let's switch back to 0. Okay, and now I should get the data that look like okay, now let's connect this back right here. Here we go. So we got the high and the cross of the first element. Okay, so you can put more elements in there. Depends on how many of this. So let me look at the output of this one more time to decide how many elements that we have here. So you can see that we have so many things, and okay, there are many of them. Okay, in this case, let's say you want to get 1, 2, 3, and 4 of this first. So as you can see, this is what you have to do. So you can the first element is basically telling us the name. The third element is actually the data. So what we need to do is we have to loop through. Okay, let me look at this table. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the volume, that's the price. If I want name, price, and volume, then I need to look at 1, 2, 3, their script 1, as you can see here. So one set of this is costing up to, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 different things. So I need to get the first one, the third one, and the fifth one. So it's going to be 0, 2, and 4. 0, 2, and 4. So in this case, come back here. 0, 2, and 4. So it's going to be, let's do a for loop. I equal to 0, I less than, let's say we want to get 3 of this, plus, and we create a variable koi equal to a new object here. Inside the new object is going to be the name, which is equal to data number 1, data 1, okay, and then we reference to the elements of I plus 0, okay, and what else? The price will be equal to data 1 at I plus, okay, this is 0, 1, so it's going to be index number 2 plus 2, and volume will be data 1 again at I plus how much? Then it's going to be I plus 4. And once you got the koi, then you can push this into the report at this moment, and we are going to put the koi in the set. Now each time we do the loop again, so it's going to change one more index. Okay, so how about if I start from 0 and then add this by 1. Okay, so it's going to be I equal to I plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me try 5 first. Okay, so each time it's gonna I equal to 0, and we loop this for 3 times to get 3 coins, different coin, and this is going to be less than 15, I guess. Okay, less than 15, then we do this. Okay, all right, see what we get here as the output. Okay, oh, I just have to now look at the final output. Okay, here we go. So we got 3 coins. Each coin, we have the name, we have the price, we have the volume. So as you can see, that's the data that we need. One more thing though is that the data itself here is containing something not looking beautiful at all, like the caveat return. You can trim off the data over here to make it look more professional, like the name. You can trim it here. You can also trim things that are not needed. Okay, right, check this one more time, and here we go for the core. I hope that is what I need. Okay, you can trim for more to get a even better beautiful result. Okay, for the high I also need to trim it as well. So over here, when we trim this, it's going to take off caveat return. So in this case, you should end up having a beautiful data like this. Okay. All right. So this is to show you how do we get data scraping from multiple same source. Okay, multiple location from the same source. You can extend this example to cover different source. What you have to do is just have this request. If it is the different source, you change the URL, okay, and then you do the same thing to get the result. So if you have more than 2 tasks, in this case we have 2 tasks, so you can add more global variable. Okay, so you can add data 3 to 4, 5, 6, and 7, and so on, and then you can have, okay, for each subflow to support each task. Okay, I hope this would help you to be able to get data from different sources, different locations from the same source. Thank you for watching.